Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tangents, a podcast where we follow the conversational thread wherever it may lead. I'm your host, Lumo. With me is my good friend, Zen.
Hello, I am also the one on this podcast. That's me.
And today we're kind of talking about a weird thing, I would say. So when we make these podcasts, we have a list of topics that we want to get to. We make it so we can have, like, at least a general guideline of where we want to go. And while we don't always get there, it's kind of it's just like a guiding light to get us where we want to go.
Yeah, I mean, we follow the tangents, as you said, the tagline. We follow the conversational thread where we may not hit on everything that we want to hit on. So,
yeah,
it's what it is.
But so the thing is, though, is normally we have a list that we just pull from. But today I've decided to veto that list because I want to talk about something that's a little bit weird. And it's kind of internet-centric, which I guess makes sense because that's literally how we work in our entire livelihoods at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's what I put down on our list today. Anti-motivational speaking. Does that mean you're about to listen to 90 minutes of me telling you that you're a piece of crap? Yes, get ready. No.
Oh, I was looking forward to that. I was actually looking for... I've been feeling too good about myself lately. I need to be brought down a peg or two. I was needing this.
The JOI Dom session, that costs extra on the Patreon. That's the hidden $50 tier. But no, the thing is, though, is I wanted to talk about this is going to sound like I'm kind of reaching above my limits here. It's like I'm punching a weight class above here. It feels too heady for me. The psychological ramifications of motivational speaking.
Okay, so most people kind of like attribute motivational speaking with people looking to help people out. You know, it's like giving the information needed to kind of help support and people that need like a guiding hand, you know, like give the information and I'm trying to avoid using the motivation, but it's kind of in the name. Like,
here's the thing. I kind of want to start this off in a different way because I definitely feel like last episode I was a little bit not clear in what my messaging was, so I want to open up with this at the start. If you listen to motivational speakers and you get something out of that helps you, you know, achieve what you're after, then by all means, homie, just keep on listening to them. Like, that's perfectly fine, and I can respect and do the same. Like, the thing is, I actively consume motivational speaking because it helps me push through my procrastination. It gets me up and going, you know what I mean? Like, having someone tell you that you can do it is so powerful. Like, I have a friend who encourages me nonstop, and I appreciate her for gassing me up so much because it helps me get to my sculpting at 5 a.m, you know, it helps me do basic things. So if people need that, and they need that, like, not role model, but like that support network, then like by all means, I can completely understand that. But the thing is a lot of these people are preaching ideals that are not realistic to have all the time. But people think that if they don't have these ideals, they become failures. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it's kind of like tying into like various things that we've spoken about on previous episodes. And I feel this is going to be relating to you quite heavily because, like, from you, I didn't understand what this topic was to begin with when you posed this to me like a while back, and it was when you started to just give me like a brief description of it. You said like one thing which was like I believe to be key in what you're wanting to talk about, and it was just like, that's you. That's actually you.
I feel like we don't talk about me enough. Like, I haven't dominated 90% of the airspace on this show, and that's just criminal.
Hey, look, man, I'm all game to listen to interesting stuff, and if you're talking about interesting stuff, I'm not going to interrupt.
So let's give a little bit of a brief overview as to why I wanted to cover this topic, because I feel like it's a little bit important just to help people understand where I'm coming from.
We need the context.
So 2 years ago, about 3, I kind of fell into like a very serious depression. That's when I started really overreaching and overscoping my goals because I wanted to hit something impressive so I could feel good about myself. That's not something you want to do, but I'm not exactly a therapist here. So if you struggle with that, please find help. I'm a goober on the internet wearing a Discord shirt because a Discord employee called me kitten at a convention once. They didn't. That's a lie.
Oh, why did you bring that lie? No. No.
Hello, kitten. It's been a while since you have sent me a message on Discord. Daddy is getting quite upset.
God, last night I was playing Rec Room with a couple of people for like the first time, and we went into just a game lobby, and there was a guy just walking around going like, "Hello, kittens. It's time to play the game, kittens." It's like, stop. Just stop.
You see, I'm happy to not be on TikTok because it means I only get quality content because it leaves the quarantine zone. But, okay. But no, so the thing is I remembered something that my professor in college told all of us, which is that when he is, like, sculpting, he actually listens to these motivational speeches because it makes it easier for him to, like, stay in the zone and stay focused. So I was like, I'm going to borrow something out of his book and do the same. Everyone is a unique and individual flower, and let me tell you, this both made me grow and wilted me extremely. So I started to recognize a couple of names, like David Goggins, for example. Arnold Schwarzenegger has a couple of speeches which I think are pretty good. But the thing is I was aspiring too much to be like these people, and when I wasn't able to achieve what I was after, it mentally impacted me more.
What you're saying is once you set yourself these kind of...
I set myself to their lofty expectations instead of setting some that are realistic to myself. I didn't give myself a ramp up. I hit the ground running and expected to be going on like a 15-mile-an-hour treadmill after not running for 3 years. That's a very specific example. I'm not that stupid, but like I didn't give myself enough of a ramp up. So when I wasn't hitting these lofty ideals that these people, were constantly saying that they aspired to, I considered myself a failure and the cycle repeated. But at the same time, hearing these speeches was enough to get me up and running. And like I can definitely see the value of listening to them while sculpting because I have done some of my best environment work listening to these speeches.
That's the thing though. Like with a lot of the stuff, you listen to it, and the ones that I've listened to is basically a case of this is the end point. They're giving like this kind of stuff. They're giving like all this motivational talk about the end point that they have reached, and they're saying you can get here too. But it's basically a case of, I can do this. I can reach that point. It's not everything that leads up to it, which is the most important part. So
yeah, life is the journey, not the destination. Because the destination is death.
Yeah.
But like, so that's actually one of the weird things. They always talked about like how much they worked and how like they got to where they were going by being unrelenting. And that is true. Being relentless is incredible for getting your stuff done. But working tirelessly does not help somebody. If you work yourself nonstop, you end up missing on important things. Friends, family, opportunities in which you could have helped somebody. If you don't live life and solely work on your grind, you might get there, but you're going to be unsatisfied. Because you've tossed away like actual important things for the sake of this goal. Which you might have reached just a little bit slower if you had kept those things going. So, like, you remember those, like, 2 years, Alex, where I literally, like, all of you barely saw me. I think I actually stopped talking to, like, you and Condi for a solid, like, 4 months because I was just working.
Yeah.
And, like, I was unemployed at the time, too. Like, I was working on my own stuff so incessantly that even without a job, I took no time for other people.
It's really not a good mindset to just, like, again, we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago about like the whole grind culture, which I believe kind of like really kind of ties into this. Whilst it's it's not essentially the same thing, because the grind culture is again trying to get to like whatever it takes, just pushing yourself forward and forward and forward. If I'm not working, I'm a failure kind of thing. I've got to get to where I want to be. And it's like, no, absolutely not. Like one of the big things that it took me way too long to understand is everyone gets to the points in life at their own pace. Like, don't base yourself on other people and their success and how they did it, because it's not going to happen the same for anyone else. You got to go through shit by yourself in your own way. And however long that takes, that's however long it takes.
Yeah.
You got to find like the joy in the process. Wow, we are really coming full circle around to like the last few episodes on different topics.
What can I say? I make a good capstone episode. So like, I think Glink did a wonderful video on this where people are using these motivational speakers like Goggins as like pseudo father figures for things that they were missing in their childhood. I thankfully wasn't in that case. I had a wonderful father who, taught me well, taught me, sometimes it's okay to, have defeat, accept the L, work harder to make sure the L doesn't happen again. Things like that, like very important lessons. But a lot of people don't have that, so they devote themselves with an almost like cult-like mindset to these motivational speakers. And once they start aspiring to those lofty ambitions like I was doing and not reaching them, it puts them further and further down into the pit, which I don't think is the intention of any of these speakers. Like, I gotta say that up front. But I think one thing that people have to remember is motivational speaking is a job. And Alex, what is the point of any job?
To make money.
Yeah. So a lot of these people have books they want you to sell. They have podcasts they want you to donate to, pay them for speeches, etc. Like, I think motivational speakers don't, act maliciously. I would be remiss to ever say that any of them did. But, like, I think what people miss about motivational speaking in this like grind culture is it's supposed to make money. So they want you to buy their books. They want you to buy like 50 ways that you can stop being a fuck up, like 18 different ways that I got out of my depression. Like, they're trying to monetize motivation, which again, it's a job. That's what they have to do. Like, we have to monetize this. We love doing this, but patreon.com/whatever our URL is.
There is another aspect to this. Whilst there are people that want like generally help, but it's a case of, yes, it's a job, they want to get paid, but there are also some bad actors in it as well.
Oh God, there are so many bad actors,
and it's a case of I don't know what percentage of them. I don't know. I don't really listen to those kind of stuff, but I've seen some of it before, and it's a case of you mentioned the word cult, and that's what some of it does seem like. Because what they're basically doing is they're preying on desperation and people in really rough situations and essentially going, hey, I'm going to offer you this way out of this terrible situation. I'm going to show you, hey, this is kind of cool. Sports cars. You want to have this big stack of money?
Oh, God. Instagram motivational speakers. I know the kind of people you're talking about.
And it's just a case. It's not even Instagram motivational. Like, that's like just on the nose kind of stuff. But like, if you start to look under the hood, it kind of, some of them really push towards this, and it's preying on desperation, and this is what society sees as success. Follow me, this is how you're going to do it, and they basically make people dependent upon them.
See, I find that there are two types of motivational speakers that help you easily tell apart the two groups. There's one group who basically are trying to crystallize your will. They're not telling you what your goals should be. They're telling you to set your goals and to follow them.
Damn.
So, like, there's this one guy whose speeches I really love, and I'm sorry, I forget his name. He speaks primarily to disenfranchised, like, African youths, and his message is kind of universal, and I really just appreciate it, because it's literally, like, it doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, life is unfair, life will kick your ass, but if you can get back up, you can kick its ass back.
Okay,
and I really
like
appreciate that message.
Yeah, I like that.
It's not like you're going to get all the sports cars and everything. It's you can achieve what you're after. You might have to work harder than the guy next to you. You might have to work less than the other guy next to you. But you will have to work and you will have to get there. But then there's the other ones like you were mentioning where, hey, do exactly as I did and you'll have sports cars. And it's like they started an MLM and just didn't get caught or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, like, you brought up TikTok earlier on. Like, the amount of people being like, yo, I make all this money and you can do too. Do you want to make 20K a month? Do you want to make 20K a day?
Top 10 ways to commit tax fraud.
Like one of the big ones that I saw, like, what was it? Over Christmas, there was this big boom of it. And all for some goddamn reason, my TikTok account got stuck in the algorithm of all these people like trying to promote quick ways to make money. And pretty much all of them was just like scamming on freaking Fiverr or go to Pexels and find copyright-free music, add visuals to the music and upload to YouTube. Steal other people's work was another one. Like, hey, do you see this person making work? Cool. Why don't you just put like a Facebook ad campaign onto it and promote them and make money for yourself? It's like the amount of scummy shit that was coming out of it was just disgusting. And the amount of people buying into it as well, being like, I can make money with this. I can do this. Don't. It's still scummy.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I definitely think that like when you start to listen to these like gurus, you got to listen to their message more than you listen to their words, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
if someone is telling you to do any of that, they are a grifter 110%.
Yeah, if their main message is like to be a like be a better person and like find the motivation within yourself and like teaching you how to become what you want to be, yeah, that's a good message. That's the kind of motivation that you really need. Not a case of follow exactly what I do and have money falling out of your pants. No.
Yeah, no. Like, the thing is this is what always kind of like bothered me is I don't think the motivational speakers are at fault. I'm gonna say the thing. I'm gonna say the funny word. I think it's a society. I think it's a society thing. Bottom text.
The word.
Well, no, because like if you think about it, we live in a society. It's very unfortunate. I wake up every day and it keeps happening.
Bottom text.
But no, like we do genuinely live in a world where, you know, losing is seen as wrong and a sign of failure, and that if you're not like some quadruple billionaire, you failed as a person, or that you need to always be satisfied with your job. Like, I love doing YouTube. I love making my games. I love, you know, marketing. Do I wake up every day excited for this? No, I will wake up some days and go, oh, fuck me, I have to program again.
It's the same idea as like for trying to get fit, you know? This is like a message that I've read and like seen and I've been using. It's a case of like working out. If you're trying to lose weight, if you want to get fit, if you want to get to like where you want to be physically and all this kind of stuff with like your diet and your workout plan, all that kind of stuff, you are not going to wake up every single day fully motivated to do stuff. There are going to be days where you're just going to be like, I don't feel like it. I really don't want to do it today. But you got to dig deep and realize I'm going to do it. You got to manifest it.
There's a saying that I actually really like from one of the motivational speakers. I'm pretty sure this is a Goggins quote. I really aspire. I don't aspire to be like him, but I admire his like tenacity. Like the man almost killed himself going for a run because he just was that driven to do it. But like the thing is though, is motivation is a crock of shit. You will not always be motivated.
Yeah.
Motivation comes and goes like a fart in the wind. What you have to have is discipline and drive. You have to wake up and realize that if I want this, I have to work at it. So for me, for example, I struggle really hard with focus issues. One of the things I found is if I wake up and meditate beforehand, I have the mental clarity to focus a lot harder throughout my day. Am I perfect at meditating every day? No, I miss some days. And does it always work? No. Some days brain go burr way too hard, and I have to accept the L's with the wins, and there are more wins than losses now. But I know that if I don't wake up at 5, sit down on my floor, and go head empty, thoughts gone for at least 5 minutes, I am not going to be at my peak performance today. Do I hate losing those 5 minutes? Yes. But does it give me infinitely more? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. A lot of what people have to do to crystallize their will is understand something that our society works really hard to make you forget, which is if you put off the good things now, you get exponential benefits later. Like there's a study, I'm trying to remember who actually did it, where they put a marshmallow on a plate with a kid in a room and said, if you do not eat this marshmallow in 10 minutes, you may have 2 marshmallows. And a majority of the kids, upon the adult leaving the room, would eat the marshmallow.
Yeah, they just chowed straight down.
And they did it again with adults, and the same thing happened. And every day we are literally being fought over. Like, people are fighting for our attention. Games, movies, TVs, ads, internet, everything wants your attention. The snack packages inside of a Walmart are designed specifically to catch your eye and to just tempt you into buying it. That's why the Doritos look so crispy on the bag. That's why cookies look so delicious on the tin. It's because they want your attention in a crowded space.
Do you know what I kind of attribute this to?
What?
There are 2 sayings that grew in massive popularity, I believe, since the 2000s, which I believe have just had such a detrimental effect and ties exactly into this. And the 2 are YOLO and live every day like it's your last. Because it is essentially training people. It's basically giving people the ideas that you know what, screw it, I don't need to think about my future. I'm gonna live in the right now. I'm gonna do everything that I want to do right now. Oh no, have I got no money at the end of the month? Oh shit, what happened there? I'm
actually gonna disagree with you on this one. I don't think it is the fault of YOLO at all, because YOLO only picked up when I was probably about 15. That was the first time I heard it. I'm not sure if that was a thing beforehand, but live every day like it's your last was. The thing is, however, is I don't I don't attribute those to the constant war over our attention or
Oh,
to
no,
poor
no, no, no.
decision making.
What I'm
I
saying
attribute
is,
those things to marketing.
yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That kind of stuff. I mean, like especially like the shopper, the checkout kind of a last minute impulse buy sections, like you were talking about, like the Doritos and all that. That is most definitely marketing. That's strategy on like shops and all that kind of stuff. That's a well documented thing. Yeah. But it's like what I'm talking about is a case of this kind of mentality of just to try not to think too much about the future. Don't think long term, think short term. That's what those two kind of sayings really embed into people. And it's what you're saying is like, I lost it. I fucking lost the thread. Shit. I was going strong. I was going strong there, but I lost it.
But no, like that is the thing though, is people who can think long term tend to have, a better future because they're thinking about the long-term strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm about to out myself as like the reason why I'm single. I hate Persona 5 because it has valid social commentary, but like it's in the wrong spot because it's in Persona 5. Like
I have no idea what you just said.
So here's the thing. Spoilers for Persona 5. I don't know what timestamp you need to skip to, but just if you haven't played Persona 5, that's fair. But the game came out like 4 years ago, and I'm not talking about the Royale stuff, so there's no spoilers for that, so I feel no shame. So here's the thing. A lot of success in a Persona game comes down to your long-term strategy. So for me, right now, I'm trying to summon an ultimate Persona. I have only so many days throughout the game to do this, and to do it, I have to build up all of my confidants. So my strategy is whenever, a palace pops up, so like a dungeon I have to do, you're supposed to do that over the course of multiple days while balancing school and relationships.
Yeah.
I basically go, I'm going to get this all done on the first day so I can spend the rest of my time building up my stats and working on my relationships. So it's taking care of the hard work first so I can enjoy the leisurely activities in the downtime.
Yep.
And so that's the long-term strategy that has gotten me to the point where I can summon Mega Satan, which is the ultimate Persona. But so the thing is, though, is the second to last palace of the game is a politician named Shido. He looks like Howie Mandel. It is comedic. But the thing is, though, is he makes a point of saying that the masses nowadays only want short-term, like they want vanity. They want short-term fulfillment. They want short-term things. They want to be immediately gratified. They want with no long-term goals or ambitions, to which Shido then says, I'm exploiting this because I can promise them the future that they want and they'll never have to work a day in their life for it. And I was playing this with my roommate and I was actually mad about it because it's coming from a dude dressed in a spiky like Nazi outfit.
Oh no.
And I'm like, this is valid social commentary, but it's coming from fucking Persona 5.
Oh.
Like that's the thing that was like, it is valid social commentary in my opinion, because it's like, that is how people are nowadays. People are more apt to chase like free money than they are to work on a long-term plan. Like, you can ask a crowd of 10 people what their 5-year plan is. You're going to get maybe 2, maybe 1 who can tell you what they have in mind for the next 5 years. It is like, that's why I think I listen more towards motivational speakers who tell me to crystallize my will and to have a plan, rather than, oh, it's the world's fault you're not where you want to be. Like, no. Anyone who tells you that you aren't to blame for your own situation, I mean, okay, no, there are some caveats here. There's some nuance
I was going to say there's a lot of other factors that can play into this kind of stuff. Like the social commentary and
like, obviously you can be, you want to go first? Or can I explain?
No, you go. You got it.
I don't want to like downplay like A, being born into like a shitty life situation, or B, being born with like something horrible like chronic depression. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm basically trying to say is like, regardless of your situation, if you can make a plan, you can execute on it to try and get yourself somewhere better. But a lot of situations can be very damaging. And can very much impede that ability. So I don't want to tell people that they're a failure for not having a plan, but like, I think it's important that people need to think of a plan regardless of their situation, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Even if someone is listening to this that's in a really bad situation, first off, I'm sorry, but also second of all,
sucks.
It really sucks. But there are always resources that you can seek out to help you. there are, services, there are people that you can reach out to and try and figure things out.
Yeah.
If you are not fighting, like actively fighting to try and get a better situation for yourself, then you are going to always stay where you are.
Yeah.
It's a case of you've got to always put your best foot forward to move in the direction that you want to be going in. If you don't do anything to try and get in that direction, you're just going to stand still. It's going to be harder for people, and it might be easier for people. Like back to what you were saying, everyone's got to do the work. It's just you've got to take those steps.
Yeah, you might have to work harder than somebody else, but like if you work, you can get out of the situation. And there will be roadblocks. There will be bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, let me give you two cams here, a tale of two cams, 2016 cam and 2020 cam. We got two options here. We got, the younger Cam who was saying that it was the world's fault that he went to college and basically is down 100K, that he wasn't at fault. This is what he was told to do, and now he has to live with the ramifications. Taking no responsibility for his actions, claiming big plans and never working on them. Or 2020 Cam, who has accepted his mistakes, has made efforts to better himself, found a better job besides working retail, and is actively working on what he wants to do. One of these Cams is happy, and the other one is mad at the world. And, I can be mad all I want that I have to lose so much of my money every month. I can be mad that I lose so many of the hours of my life to a debt that I took on when I was 18. But at the end of the day, if I don't move to get out of that situation, I'll never get there. If YouTube works out for me, not if, when, sorry, I like to be deterministic here. But if it works out, I can clear my debts. I can have a life where I don't have to work so damn hard all the time. But I have to work what amounts to 3 full-time jobs to make that happen.
Yep.
I sleep 4 to 5 hours at most nights. Because I have to be up at 5 to get running.
I am slightly worried about for you, because sleep is like a whole other side of things. Everybody's body is different for how much they actually require sleep-wise. There's different circadian rhythms. There's different some people work better in the day, some people work better at night, all that kind of stuff. But I've never heard. I don't really know much about the people that sleep 4 to 5 hours a day. I don't know if that's a healthy thing or not. It might just be a case of that's how your body works.
So here's the thing. My body didn't used to work like this, actually. This is actually something I stole from Dwayne the Boulder Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, his methodology was if you wake up and work out, you give your body the boost that it needs to get going as if you had just taken a shot of caffeine.
Okay.
And I have, for the most part, found that to be true.
Okay.
But this is, again, just my body. Not everyone's going to be able to do that. I know people who can't wake up physically before the sun, and I do feel sorry for them because I would hate to lose my ability to control my sleeping hours.
Trust me, as someone who has wrecked their body and sleeping patterns through work, through abusive jobs in the past, it sucks. I envy you. I absolutely envy you.
Well, here's the thing. Because my high school was so far away, back when I used to have to take the bus, I would have to wake up at 5. And then when I worked at retail, I had to wake up at 5 to replace the sign tags. So I was already kind of trained to be up this early. But the thing is back in 2016, I used to only get 3 hours of sleep, and I hated it.
Oh my God.
I would go to bed at midnight, fall asleep by 2, and wake up at 5 because the horrible thoughts would keep me awake.
As they do.
So now I go to bed at 10:30 and I'm down by 11:30. But it's basically okay. Here's something that I've said before, but I kind of like to clarify.
Okay.
A lot of you notice if you follow my Twitter that I will actively tweet out when I am depressed because I feel that it is important to not just show the highs. I've kind of learned in the recent months that having any sort of platform requires a level of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that some of my other friends are also opening Twitters where they can be a little bit more open about that stuff. And I really appreciate that because I think that it is important to have that discussion of even people who have made it aren't always firing at 100%. But I think it is worth clarifying when I'm having bad days because I don't want people to think that they're having bad days makes them somehow less of a person. I want them to feel more of a person because they have bad days. But at the same time, I think it is important to also remind people when, I'm firing on all cylinders, like to show these natural up and downs. Because the thing is like, I had someone close to me tell me very recently that they were impressed with me because whenever I set my mind to something, it is as if my will crystallizes immediately. I am at the point where people view me in the same way they view these motivational speakers of someone with incredible drive and passion. I have made it to that point and still have these downs, which is why I try and make it a point to show the downs as much as possible. You can go on my YouTube channel and find videos of me crying because, you know, I had a down. These downs happen. Sometimes it was tears of joy. Other times it was tears of Jesus Christ, I am paying $2,000 in debt a month off of retail salary. I am draining my parents dry. I am bleeding them. But these up and downs are important because they are the journey of life. So whenever someone tells you that, like, you'll always be happy, follow my tactics, you'll always be happy, you'll get over it. No, you won't. You fucking won't. And when people try and sell this to you, they're trying to monetize your issues. They are trying to treat you like a mark, like just another piggy bank that they can wring the money out of. That's why when you're listening to stuff like motivational speaking and all of these other things, you need to be very cognizant of what their message actually is. Because if they're telling you to set a plan, have a goal, crystallize your will, it's important to listen to that, but not aspire to be exactly like that person. It's important for you to determine what is important for you. Some people's greatest goal in life might just be the greatest teacher they can possibly be. Are they going to make a good salary? Not in America. But like that can be their goal. And if they can achieve that goal, then that's perfect. They're making it a way that makes them happy. If there's someone like me who dreams of, you know, glory, recognition, and validation, that's not something so easily obtained. And that's a very subjective and personal thing. And a lot of that ends up coming down to being content with the people that you're with, or finding somewhere that you belong to. Because if you're just seeking the vague concept of fame, you're never going to get there. And if you always want more past that point, you'll never be happy. Want to know what my end goal is? I've discovered this recently, actually, through some of my learnings. It's to set smart goals, something with attainable, measurable metrics, alongside a time frame and a step plan to get it done. I can say that I want fame, but what does that truly mean? Nothing. Fame is subjective. So instead, I actively seek to bolster my view counts video over video. Because if I can, for example, say, get a video to reach, I'm just going to say 1,000 views in the first day, that's a wonderful start. But it's something that I can measure, attain, and debug. So I think what I'm trying to say is if you're listening to motivational speakers, make sure you listen to their message, make sure you understand what they're trying to say. And if you're setting goals, make it something that you can measure. Make it something that you can actually track. Make it something that you can take steps on almost every day, but understand that you won't be able to work every day. Life will get in your way. Life will kick you in the dick, and you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to get back up, shake your fist at the little rascal, and just keep going, because at the end of the day, the only way to improve your situation, whatever it may be, is to put the work in. And work might not always be something physically tangible. Like for me with my focus issues, being able to spend 5 minutes without an intrusive thought, that's where I'm currently aiming. That's my measurable goal. But no one else can see that. You got to understand that you're working. You got to love your process. You got to be able to track your process. And again, everyone's situation is different. Some of you might have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Others, plastic. Someone might be getting beaten by their parents right now. Someone else might be getting pampered to a lovely beach vacation on the Cape. But no matter what your situation is, you got to find the steps to crystallize your will. You got some horrible thing that happened in your past that you can't seem to get past? Maybe try and find a therapist. Don't have the money for a therapist? Well, there's your first step. You're going to maybe want to try and figure that out. Maybe figure out how you can get that money. Maybe your insurance through your parents can help out. If your parents can't help out, maybe you're going to have to take a part-time job. They take your money from your part-time job, you're going to have to find some way to keep the money. You have to eventually find your starting point. You got to find the way around the roadblocks to get where you want to go, to completely crystallize your will to become the person you want to be. Life will do its best to keep you down, so by all means, punch back. Anyway, I make shit videos on the internet about game development. Like, comment, and subscribe.
I didn't want to interject at any point during that, mainly for the fact that you listen to motivational speeches all the time. you brought up the conversation of unmotivational speeches, anti-motivational speeches. You just gave one. You just gave your own motivational speech that spanned quite a bit. So I just wanted you to have that.
Well, like, this is the thing. One of the weirdest things that I personally aspire to have as a personality trait is to bring others up around me. One of my personal favorite things is when I'm working so hard that it forces somebody else to try and match me. Is that arrogant? Yes, it is extremely arrogant. But like, when I start getting on a roll and like one of you guys goes like, hey man, I just started working on my own stuff because you've been going at it. I'm like, yeah! Because I've now gotten someone else to work really hard. And like, here's the other thing too. This is something that I think is also another societal failing on our end, is we tell everyone that they have to be their own boss and everything. That's fucking stupid.
No, some people work better when they're being told what to do and have like guiding hands and all that kind of stuff. Not everyone needs to be a boss.
And like, here's the other thing. If everyone wants to be a boss and have, you know, complete control in their own business, who the hell is gonna be the employees? Like, this is something that I was thinking about. Not everyone will succeed.
No, absolutely not.
That's a horrible fact of life. Not everyone will succeed. But like, if everyone is striving in the same way that like people who work insanely hard are striving for, like if everyone's working to be on top, there will be no one to operate as an employee. Because if there are no employees, then the actual output of work is reduced, if that makes sense.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, having less work, the ideal situation off the top of my head right now, I haven't put too much thought into this, as pretty much most things, because I'm on the fly. Having a boss and workers, the best situation is to have it so that both the boss and the workers are being paid fairly for what they do.
Yeah.
If everyone is a boss, that means less workers come into it, which means a lot of businesses are going to start failing because they don't have the manpower for it. Or maybe the boss doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe the workers, there's many different things that go into it. But
yeah,
the situation is that a lot of this comes into it, a case of you need to get your own money. You can become your own boss. You can do this. Anyone can do it. Not anyone can do it.
Here's the thing. A lot of people who built themselves up from like a normal family probably sacrificed a lot to get there. We were kind of talking about this last episode. Like, when you can never actually quantify the amount of work that somebody else does unless they have a spreadsheet for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, this is one of those things that I think is just kind of important to remember, is that if you want to just exist, you don't want to go through all of those sacrifices, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
The world needs people like you as well. Like,
not everyone can become a boss.
And like, not everyone wants to be. Like, this is another reason why
that's exactly it. And you may like take some time, learn the skills, or maybe not learn the skills if you want to go down that route. And you start running your own business. You hire people. It starts to grow. Then you realize, I don't enjoy this. Sure, I'm getting more money. And I've got a bit more freedom for myself, but maybe you're not enjoying it as much.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you're in that kind of position, you got to make some freaking hard calls, which if you're hiring other people, it's going to affect other people as well. That's a fair amount of pressure for some people.
Yeah, like, for me, only recently have I established that, like, you can fail and that might affect other people, but hey, that's life. Like, I've had to accept that failure was part of it. Like, that's why I am excited every time something goes wrong, because it's another excuse to learn. But for a lot of people, that can be extremely demoralizing. And
absolutely.
I can accept that.
Yeah, I've fallen into that trap as well. Like, a lot of people, I've been subjected to that as well. Like, people have like just kind of removed me from certain areas because of like, I failed in something I was doing and they deemed, no point, get rid of them. And that kind of shit kind of sucks because that just reinforces it. Like in like certain jobs and all this kind of stuff. And the thing, like kind of going back to what you were saying, progress in any form or area, it's not a solid raising line. There's going to be ups and downs constantly. You can fail and that's not the end of it. Like if you consider like a graph and like you're trying to learn something, you're trying to get better at something, you're trying to reach the end goal, you're trying to become better, it's not going to be a solid straight up line, right 45-degree angle. It's going to go up and down. And if you fail, it doesn't mean that's the end of it. It's just another dip. It's how you
Yeah.
get back out of that dip is what really matters. How you learn and not to get back into that same dip.
Yeah. Another big thing is some goals are harder to obtain, I find, because they rely on another person and external factors that you have no control over.
Yeah. You've got to be realistic about things.
Like, for example, I would love to actually have gone on a couple of dates by the end of this year, but that relies on other people. I can't control that.
Does it? You can date yourself.
No, I really can't.
Oh,
I'm not
wait,
attracted to myself, Alex, but the sex life would be awful.
I mean, isn't it?
But like, so that's kind of like the thing though, right? Is like, that's why a lot of my focus tends to be on the things that I can do. My game development, my YouTube channel, my body, my diet, my cooking. I focus on the things that I have control over because that's all I can really exert my control over.
Uh-huh.
If someone finds me attractive on like Tinder or something, that's completely on them. I can present myself in the best way possible to help my odds, but at the end of the day, it is people attracted to me, it's completely subjective. That has to come from them, not me. And, you know, I can control how I act in the conversation, but I can't, say, convince someone to be into me through, you know, how I speak. They have to either like how I am or not like how I am. That's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think it's important for people to set SMART goals, which is, you know, I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's things you can measure and actually have control over. That's why whenever someone like their goal is to be married by like X, that's bad. That's a bad goal. That's very not good.
No.
You can get yourself in a bad situation if you're desperate to hit that goal.
Yeah. No, if like, especially because like with that kind of scenario, it's a case of, oh, I want to do it regardless. Then you just force it, and it might not be like a very good situation in any sense.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, I've hit my goal, but am I happy? Maybe for a little bit, but then yeah, I don't know. It's that's a tricky one. That one.
This actually loops back around to what I was saying earlier about not always being on your grind. Because if you have goals that do pertain to interpersonal relationships, the best way to go about that isn't by installing Tinder, getting on OkCupid or anything. No, it's by going out and living your life. Go out and do stuff. Like me, for example, like for me finding a partner, a lot of things that I value are qualities that I'm trying to find in myself. You know, determination, responsibility, have a goal, have a plan, etc. So, like, when people get on me because I like physically fit women, it's not because, I mean, I do appreciate musculature, but that's like a non-sexual thing, if that makes sense. I just like how people look when they're muscly. If an animal is muscly, I'm like, that's cool. I like that muscle structure. Maybe this is the character artist in me that I actively repress. I just think it's neat.
No, I mean, you can admire things without it being like that. Yeah. You can admire that kind of stuff without it being sexual. Absolutely. Yeah,
people tend, I mean, to be fair, the energy I give off, I can see how people would assume that. But like the thing is though, is like these are visual indicators that they might have the personality traits that I personally enjoy the company of. But it's like, you know, you got to go to where you want to meet the people who you want to have the kind of qualities in your life. Because like, this is something that I've kind of noticed. It's very easy to find people who are the antithesis of your personal philosophies. It is hard to find someone who shares them.
Yeah, 100%. I can attest to that one. I'm not going to go any further into that because it's just going to go down a depressing route. And I would rather avoid that.
Well, like a good example is like I got out of a relationship at the end of last year that was not very good for my personal philosophies. That's the most I'm going to publicly speak about it. But so I'm being extremely choosy this time because it's like, you know, I'm shopping for the end game, so to speak. I should not call dating shopping. That's garbage. That's shit tier. But it's like, you know, for example, I want someone with determination. I want someone with a dream. I want to be able to gas them up and get them going and like ready to fight God. But
well,
it's like
that's the thing, yeah. Like getting into a relationship, it shouldn't be a case of like one side is like the support pillar, like the one thing keeping them together. No, like a partnership is like a true partnership. Shut up! I'm saying this very poorly.
No, I'm so I had a horrible thought in my head that the proper relationship should look like that one gif of Vegeta and Goku aggressively nodding at each other.
No, absolutely not. Actually, maybe.
No, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah, you're onto something. Like a partnership is a case of like being individuals, but also working together as like I'm trying to have a good moment here, dude, and you're thinking about Vegeta.
Give You know the gift.
God damn, dude.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I'm agreeing with you. And a proper relationship, like a good working one, should be one where you're able to be individuals, but like work together towards a shared happiness and support each other. That's basically it.
I'm saying get you a girl who can scream and turn her hair blonde.
Just get
just straight up date a Vegeta cosplayer. There you go.
Oh, dude.
If they're not wearing a muscle suit, you already know that they're strong and determined.
But no, going to what you're saying, like you gotta go to where you gotta like take the steps and go to where you want to be, like to meet the people that you want to be associating with. Like that's exactly why I've been in like a terrible situation for the last couple of years. That's why I'm taking the steps now. I've like fought tooth, nail, and claw to like get to be able to like take driving lessons at last. It's financially crippling me, but I'm doing it because I need that to be able to like travel around properly. It's why I'm now practicing more of my videography and photography skills, because I want to go and start doing event coverage. That's kind of one of the big things I want to do. It's also why I'm taking steps to become physically fitter and mentally fitter for my own self, so I can maintain myself further down in life, set those good habits now whilst I can. And I'm taking all these steps now so that I can start to really go where I want to be in the next couple of years.
Yeah, like, I mean, same goes for me. Like, I'm at the gym every day because I want to get back down to 190 because I really liked how I looked then, and then start building up because I want to be massive.
Mm-hmm.
I like the aesthetic of being huge, and that has the added benefit of helping me bring people into my life who share, their want of physical fitness and the want of being healthy. But it's like, you just go to a place that you think, you can really exercise who you want to be at, and you'll find people who are like you. And that'll be fantastic. But I think we should take a break, come back, switch topics, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Absolutely.
This podcast is partially funded by our lovely patrons. They help make our entire creation process just a little bit easier by taking some of the strain off of our financial situations. If you'd like to support the show and get some tasty extra content, then head on over to patreon.com/podcasttangents. All one word, not a singular space to be found. You can get access to things like outtakes, access to a Patreon Discord, exclusive monthly Patreon episodes, and QA sessions with us, amongst other benefits. If you want to have your name mentioned here on screen, then head on over to patreon.com/podcasttangents. If you put a space in there, I will come to your house and beat you with a raw fish. All right, so after we had kind of an uplifting and positive message to start on our first half, let's devolve back into monkeys for the last, shall we?
Yeah. Oh,
so,
yeah.
This was your topic, but I am just as here for it, I think, as you are. Conspiracy theories. What are they? Do they know things? No, they don't. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to bring this up is because because the anti-motivational speaking side of things, there's people that want to like basically tell you, like kind of bring you into a cult and like be like, this is what you want, this is how you should be thinking, this is all this kind of stuff. I believe it kind of like fits in quite nicely with some conspiracy theories. Because it's like the same kind of idea. It's like, yeah, this, if you want to be like somewhat different, you want to like feel like you know something different, or it's just like affirming thoughts that you've been having and all that kind of stuff. And like there's other people that are like, yeah, that's 100% of the truth. Where's the proof for it? Yeah, that's 100% the truth. So it's going down that route. A couple of years back, I was brought on to do a podcast, oddly enough, for another group of people. And the first thing they brought me in on was an episode where they were talking to a person who was an advocate for flat Earth. And at this point, I had no damn clue about all of this kind of stuff. I had absolutely no idea. And having this conversation, I was just sat there as basically the tech. I was the audio tech for this podcast. And I was just listening. It's like, okay, these points you're making, okay. It's just, Really weird. And it took me down this massive goddamn rabbit hole. And some conspiracy theories, man, like especially the flat earth one, because like it was a case of, I did this podcast and they ended up like bringing me in to talk to about it as well when I had no knowledge about it. This is my first time hearing about the flat earth conspiracy theory. And it was just a case of they didn't know what to say either because these two guys didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And they just brought me in and be like, hey, what are your thoughts on it? And I was like, okay, cool. What about earth curvature? And what about refraction lights and all this kind of stuff? I was just, just doing the layman's kind of thing about it all. I didn't know shit, and clearly they, being going deep diving down that rabbit hole, they had counters to these basic arguments. And I didn't have stats, I didn't have like knowledge to like, contest these kind of claims. So, do you know what they did? Do you know what they frickin' did?
What did they do?
They did another episode. And this time, they brought them back as a debate. And they said, okay, in preparation for this, I want you to watch this. I want you to deep dive into freaking flat earth and all this kind of stuff. And let me tell you, man, it's the worst. Conspiracy theories, some of them have some credence. I will say that right now. But a lot of them are just, the way I attribute it is, I want to feel special. I want to be a contrarian. I want to feel like I know something that other people don't. I don't care what it is, and I will latch on to whatever it is. But once I find it, that's gonna be it. And that to me is what the flat earth theory is. It's just there's just so much about it. There's so much about it, and it can be disproved. It's been disproven.
Didn't one of the like bigger flat earth guys like accidentally kill himself trying to like prove that the earth was flat? So he made there was discount rocket.
Yeah, he basically got a massive GoFundMe campaign or whatever campaign it was, got loads of money, built a rocket, and basically shot himself up and exploded or something like that. There was a documentary about it where there's actually like conventions for flat earthers and all this kind of stuff, and you look into
I hope it's not held all year round because that's going to cause some issues.
God damn it. There's a documentary which is it's an interesting watch. I will say that now. Like, it came out after the podcast thing that we were to do. And it was like an interesting like kind of thing because they went into it. Whilst watching it, the presenter, like the lead in the documentary, was trying to be as like impartial as possible. They were trying to be impartial, but the editor, holy crap, the editor did not give a damn. Like there were so many comedic cuts. To be like, for example, they were talking about like, we're not people that believe in this kind of stuff is crazy. Like from like general public, like doing vox pops in like general public, like, flat earth, no, that's some crazy stuff. And then it cuts to the lead person of the convention. It was like, oh wow, okay, subtle messaging there. But no, it's like it breaks into it really interestingly.
You see, the thing, I find inherently a lot of conspiracy theories interesting. However, I don't consider flat earth to be a conspiracy.
No, it's absolutely not.
Yeah, because the thing is flat earth is there are two ways that you can say it. The kind way of imaginative science, and the actual way, fucking stupid.
The way I see most conspiracy theories now is the same way that I look at the SCP wiki. They're fun reads. It's fun to like imagine if this was true, but no. Some of them may have elements of truth to like bolster like the stories, but still, to me, it's just like reading the SCP Foundation.
Well, okay, my thing with conspiracies is it has to be plausible for me to give it any time of day. Like, I'm trying to think of a good one that is also funny.
Well, can I just finish off the whole documentary section of just...
Oh, baby, you can finish off whenever you're ready.
That's all I needed. There's the actual end of the documentary. They got like this super powerful laser, and like they were trying to disprove the curvature of the world, essentially. And I can't remember the experiment exactly off the top of my head. It's been years since I've watched it, but the idea is if there is no curvature, this high-powered laser at the dead of night, then like two teams, one on like big mountains a certain amount of distance apart. If there was no curvature, this laser would be shooting through this hole, or it was either shoot through the hole or it doesn't shoot through the hole, basically, kind of thing. And they at the end of this whole thing, they spend like tens of thousands to get this goddamn laser and set all this up, and they disproved flat Earth by themselves. And all they could do was just like, huh, interesting. Roll credits. It was the best.
Well, see, the thing is, I've heard about a lot of stories like that, and it basically always ends with them going like, NASA knew we were getting too close, so they found a way to fudge it.
That's the thing. Like a lot of conspiracy theories, like people that buy into them, they have this kind of argument structures set up so that, hey, why does this not work? Oh, because of this. Why can we not trust this information that would absolutely discredit? Oh, because it's being paid by the people. The scientists are paid by the people that are trying to hide it. It's like, okay, so who can you trust? People in the community. It's like everything just comes down to like distrust everything, and there's no credible sources except for the people that buy into it. So there's always this kind of like argument that no, you can't trust anything except for what we're saying.
I mean, with I actually kind of want to harp on that for a second, because there is such a thing as paid studies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that is a common practice. So when you see a study, you kind of want to see who sponsored it, because that'll let you know about the informational bias.
Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, you take that kind of knowledge and you look into flat Earth and the studies going into it. I'm just saying, if people are studying nature and the universe that we're in for the sake of knowledge and progression, and like a lot of the stuff that's coming into this kind of factor is NASA, I'm more likely to trust people who have dedicated their life to studying science and do it as a passion for knowledge, rather than people being like, flat Earth is flat, don't trust nobody, and all that kind of stuff.
Here's the thing that I've kind of found with conspiracy theories for the most part. People tend to rely on conspiracy theories more when it feels like things are going bad, because they're almost like a comfort food. There's something that you can tell yourself that you know everything about. It's something that you can tell yourself that, like, I know this is true, which means that, like, regardless of anything else, this is something I can lean on. It's stable to them. A good example is last year's QAnon conspiracy. Riots everywhere, shit going weird, and people found comfort in thinking that JFK Jr. was alive.
What?
Like, it's... Oh my god, don't even get me started on that. I don't think I can recap that entire shit show. I can tell you how it ended, though. Everyone who was espousing it started asking for money after Biden was inaugurated.
Oh, no.
The whole thing was a massive grift. But, like, that's the thing, is people found comfort in it because, or rather specifically, like, people kind of far from reality found comfort in it because it was telling them that, like, things would be okay, the bad people would be taken care of.
Yeah.
Whereas, in reality, the people who they were espousing as bad people, you know, are still here. Not to say that they are bad people, but you get, like, in the context of this.
Yeah.
People find these, I'm going to call them alternative facts to be nice. People find these things and they latch onto them because it gives them a modicum of comfort and that, you know, things will be okay and that things are stable. Like, people want to believe in magic. People want to believe in Bigfoot because it lets them feel as though there is something greater than the mundane, that this isn't all there is.
You see,
people want to believe that there's some massive government conspiracy because it means that there is someone fighting for the benefit of the people as opposed to just two corrupt parties.
I think it's like easier to see something that the individual can't really have a tangible, a tangible effect on, something like the concept of a government, where there's a lot of things that the public don't really know, and there's a lot of things going wrong, there's some things going right, all this kind of stuff, and it's easier to just kind of attribute the bad things to being like, they're hiding something from us. It's something that they're doing that's wrong, and which... I
mean, almost all of our legislators in America are guilty of insider trading at the very least.
Let's look at...
I kept that non-specific for a reason. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's like...
Yeah, it's easy to... It's a lot easier for people to just be like, there's something going wrong. They're hiding stuff from us. And it's just, sometimes the mind just goes to these makes these stories that might not even be true. It's just trying to add a narrative to things, and
a borderline defense mechanism.
Yeah, it's like conspiracies are just like fun fan fictions for reality in my mind.
No, they are. They really are. I just wanted to give it a more like human approach, because like whenever someone falls for one of those conspiracy theories, like the really bad life-consuming ones where you're not allowed to question it, I just feel bad. Like,
yeah,
that damages a lot of relationships.
It really does. Like, oh god, there was this really good video that Aki Dearest did a while back as like one of her Detective Aki videos. I'm going to find it real quick. Hold on, because I can't remember the name. But essentially, it was a cult leader in Japan who essentially made them believe that he had psychic powers and all this kind of stuff, joined a cult. Oh, God. And it all tied in to why Japan doesn't have trash cans on the streets, because it was a big thing. And essentially, they started putting Serene, I think it's called, a nerve agent, like a super dangerous and powerful nerve agent in trash cans around subways, and it killed a lot of people. And then that's why Japan doesn't have it anymore, in case something like that happens again. All because it started from a conspiracy and what turned into a cult. And that kind of stuff is interesting, but people buying into it, like people lost family members. They weren't allowed to like communicate with people. They lost them and all this kind of stuff. And it's these kind of things. Whilst conspiracy theories are fun, some of them are dangerous as hell.
Yeah. Like, the thing is when it starts getting cult-like, the reason why cults are isolationist is because conversation is the enemy of irrationality. Like, if someone can question your belief system and your belief system doesn't have a logical through point, you're going to start questioning it. That's the thing, is if it can't hold up to scrutiny, then your cult falls apart. And most cults can't. So that's why it's isolationist. You're not allowed to talk to your family members anymore. Get inside of this RV and lick ants or something. Like, it's things like that where they try and promote an isolationist mindset, specifically so, you can't have a logical conversation with people who the cult wants to indoctrinate. Like, it is tribalism in a way. Like, you don't mess with my tribe, or our god leader will hurt you with his psychic powers. But it's like, you can't. You can send some dudes to kill me and then claim that it was his psychic mind bullets. Yeah. When in truth, it was just someone with a Glock. But it's like, that's the thing. Like, if something is beyond questioning and beyond reproach, it's probably beyond wrong. If you're not allowed to question something, then there's a good chance that it is a narrative that someone is pushing.
It's also, to kind of harp on that as well, I would say if one of the main kind of defense mechanisms or way to disprove what you're saying, like what your conspiracy is wrong, is a case of don't trust them. The people, like, oh, it's all wrong. You can't trust the people that are giving you the other information. If that is like the main thing, because that's a burden of proof. That means essentially they can just say, hey, no, what that is wrong. And that's such a broad statement that you kind of question it, and it's upon you to essentially be like, I'm going to have to put in all this effort to try and find the truth about that. Because they can just say, oh, that's all wrong. Then it's up to you to like go back in and like try and find out if it's actually wrong. So yeah, if they're like the main defense is like putting burden of truth on you, I don't trust it immediately. Because if it, let's say, right, a conspiracy is true. If it is true and they have the facts and the proof for it, why would they be telling you to go and disprove their theories? They would be able to produce it and show it to you and be like, this is actually true.
You want to know my favorite conspiracy theory that I really I wish I could dig into, but I don't have the resources to? I want to know what actually happened to Epstein.
Oh,
that's like the one conspiracy theory I believe. Because I think the conspiracy theory is the official narrative at this point.
Do not know.
It's a common consensus, at least in America, that he was killed. But, like, no one can say for certain.
Yeah.
But there were too many convenient things. But if I don't know something for sure, I can't talk about it because I don't feel good talking about it because it feels like I'm spreading misinformation. Yeah. But at the same time, I am very adamant in the belief that the man did not kill himself.
Maybe we should do a deep dive into that.
God, dude, don't get me started. You know what happens when I start going down these rabbit holes. I very specifically do not consume conspiracy content anymore. You saw how bad I got.
Just as a side note, the whole Aki Dearest video is called This is Japan's Most Evil Cult. and it was based on Asahara Shoko. For anybody that's interested and wants to watch that, it's a good watch. It's a good video. Very informative, but very dark subjects, very dark topics and things talked about. But it's interesting.
My God, though, man, there are so many conspiracy theories. Like, this is actually probably my biggest conspiracy theory, right?
There's so many.
I follow a lot of conspiracy theories, but I don't do a lot of like looking into them because I don't want to fall into it. I'm very easily suggestible, and I know this, so I just don't let myself be put in those situations.
Which is the smart move.
Yeah, one of my biggest conspiracy theories is that if a conspiracy theory makes it to the mainstream news, it is probably true.
Okay.
So this is like it's layers of conspiracy theory because like. If something is stupid and wrong but gets a public following, then it is treated as a joke. But if something is, correct, it gets big, but people don't want you to know about it, then it gets debunked on national television. Because if you look at who owns all of the major news networks, like it becomes this weird, like self-fulfilling circle where you tell yourself you can't trust anyone. That's why I, again, called it a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I'm glad you say it's conspiracy theory because going back to the flat Earth stuff, they did that on national TV. They started to debunk it. So
yeah, okay, yeah, there is a very big hole in the logic, which is I'm glad you brought up. Well, like that. Here's the thing. I know I'm a very paranoid person at my core, which is again why I don't put myself in these situations to consume this kind of content because it's just bad for me.
Yeah.
But like the thing that always got me when I was young and fell for this stuff on a more frequent basis is the fact that like some of this stuff sounds plausible but is bullshit, and some of this stuff sounds absurd and ends up being true. So at that point, things get thrown into question. And while I'm far more stable about it now, it's one of those things where it's like, because of how much of this I consumed as a child, there's always that little nagging voice in the back of my head, which I don't listen to for very obvious reasons, but it's there.
Yeah.
So like these rabbit holes are sometimes fascinating, but they present a very real danger to me.
Which is a good thing that you've identified and just like keep yourself away from.
Sometimes I do research, which is why there's a lot of sources that I just don't trust now. Like, for example, BuzzFeed. I never trust them anymore.
Why would you in the first place?
I mean, yeah, but you get what I mean. Until proven otherwise, I assume places are credible. When BuzzFeed starts posting 4chan pranks as news, like, not the prank itself, but taking the bait for it and presenting it as fact, that's when they lose credibility with me.
Oh, BuzzFeed. How you
CNN fell for some of the same bait, too, which was fucking hilarious. That's why I try and research stuff that, like, intrigues me, because it helps me determine what, like, is a theory and what is reality, if that makes sense. Because if I can punch a hole through something, then like it's probably a conspiracy theory.
You see, like, that's exactly the kind of mindset that I had when I was researching into like the flat Earth stuff. It's a case of if basic logic kind of can punch through it, then I don't believe in it.
Yeah, exactly.
The more I kind of like delved into it, the more I realized that I know fucking nothing. I have basic knowledge on my side, so I need to do more research. And let me tell you, learning about like curvature and refraction and all that kind of stuff for lights and other such things, and oh god, it was so bad. Oh, it was so bad. This was like my first time doing this kind of stuff, researching into something like this. It just made me so abundantly aware of just how stupid I am. It's just like things I take as fundamental logical kind of stuff, I barely know like the surface level stuff behind it. It was just learning about fundamental shit again, man. It was just so bizarre. It's like, oh, that's how that works.
Yeah, one of my favorite hobbies right now is if I'm like stuck on the toilet for a little bit, I'll pull up the conspiracy subreddit and sort by controversial. It is amazing. So like the thing is like I said, I will look into anything if I find it interesting and see if I can poke holes in it. The controversial is quite literally the dumping ground of things that are just comedy. So like, it's all just the conspiracy theories that people abandoned for being bad. It It is like some of them are like actual meta posts that are like, guys, this one conspiracy we keep posting about is awful, and then the rest are like, Trump has bat wings. I saw them.
I would read that. Hold on.
Another personal favorite. Joe Biden is the work of Disney animators. We've fallen for another Disney movie. Like, and like, there's no proof. It's literally just like, imagine the Imagineers could easily make him move realistically. They have such cool robots on the rides.
Okay, I like that one. That's pretty good.
Like, if you sort by controversial, you get such, like, just funny bullshit.
Oh my god. Oh, but one of like the big conspiracy theories, I say that with air quotes, and I did the air quotes, but you cannot see.
I'm not sure you did. I saw no proof. This is a conspiracy theory.
Oh, goddamn, no. Well, you can't prove that I didn't do them. Burden of proof. There we go. That's how this works. The one that like most intrigues me, and I really want to do I think I want to do an episode on, because it's an interesting subject on its own. And it's, I don't know, it's the whole aliens side of thing, like the whole alien subject. Because I say recently, over the last couple of years, there's been like all the footage release of like UFOs and all this kind of stuff. There was also a documentary a couple of years ago. I can't remember what it's called right off the top of my head. But it was all about aliens and all this kind of stuff that goes on with it, and like proof, and like the reason why that one holds a little bit of credence in my head with the aliens and all that is the person that was the main focus of that documentary was an ex-military. He was like high up in the military, and he was working in that field. Basically, he was like essentially close to like what Men in Black is. With aliens, and he was like the one basically blowing the whistle on it all and giving information. So that's what gives it a little bit of credence in my head, but I don't know, it's still an interesting watch, and some of the information at the end, it gets a bit fucking bat wild shit. But no, it's like, I think that'd be an interesting subject to like deep dive into, like our thoughts on freaking like the aliens and whatnot, and are they really here and all that kind of stuff.
Like, my thing is like, I used to be afraid of aliens, but I've gotten more peace with the concept of death, as long as it's quick. But
Jesus,
like,
dude, that took a
here's,
sharp turn.
It's freaking moral relativity. Like, if they're so advanced they don't consider us people and they want our planet, why wouldn't they just wipe us out? Like, if we're so much lower than them, they might not even consider us as being truly alive. It's moral relativity.
I mean, yeah, but that's if they want to take shit from us and want to eliminate us. What if they don't even know we're here yet? Regardless of us shooting radio waves into the...
I highly doubt that. We keep blasting speeches into space for like whoever cares.
Like, we keep shooting our fucking nudes of the human race into space. We're going to annoy them at some point.
God, I can't believe we're sending unsolicited dick pics to aliens. But like, here's the thing. Here's the flip side of the coin. What if they're hot?
Then I have no issues. Are we going down the Mass Effect route? Let's go down the Mass Effect route.
Not even Mass Effect, Ass Effect, Mass Erect. Let's go.
That's going to be one mass relay.
Oh my god. Shoot your shot faster than light. Let's go. Like, the thing is right now, as we are as a species, this is a conspiracy theory I've heard.
Sorry, I've got one more.
Okay, get it out.
Shoot your grey goo, my dude. All right, yeah, sorry.
So, my favorite conspiracy theory is, one of them, is the concept that we're seeing a push for, like, globalist ideals, because once we unite as one world, the aliens will show up because we're finally a governing body that can, work in an intergalactic space because our planet is not fighting amongst itself. That's a conspiracy theory I've heard. I don't subscribe to it, but I think it's neat.
No, that's an interesting one. Because... this is the thing, right? This is why I attribute it to like fanfic, like conspiracies of fanfic, is because I can't remember if it was a short story or a conspiracy I read that the main reason aliens aren't kind of like coming down to us is because there is essentially like a galactic conference or council out there, and they deem us like too fucking dangerous because we're still fighting amongst each other. Like, there have been ambassadors and shit coming down And like they see us and we're still fighting amongst each other and like killing the planet and stuff. Like, nah, we're good. Let them run their course.
Like the thing is, right, is another thing that I've seen on conspiracy spaces is the fact that UFOs show up on like nuclear development sites and nuclear testing sites. So people aren't sure if they're using the spare radiation as a refuel point or if they're showing up as a warning.
That's the thing. In that documentary, they actually show footage of that. And essentially it was like launching a nuke. There was like a rocket being launched and one of these UFOs like came down and you can see like 3 beams of light hit the rocket and they have to abort the rocket launch because it's become inert. They disabled the warhead and they just flew off. Like there's a whole segment for that. And that's fascinating to me. Like even it's just like, okay, cool. If that's real, maybe we should not be using nukes so much. If aliens that have like higher technology are like, yo, dude, stop. That's no cool. That's not cool. Or even if it's as a story point, if it's like a fictional thing, that's really cool. I like that concept.
Like, that's kind of like the scary thing, though, because that loops around to, like, the men in the shadow kind of conspiracy theories. Like, do we even have a choice? Like, if something's controlling our most powerful weapons so we can't use them, like, how much of our reality is doctored? Like, that's a conspiracy theory that I actually personally choose to never go down that rabbit hole, because I do not need that kind of intrusive thought in my morning meditation.
I am not going to say what I was like reading about yesterday. Then I'll save you from this.
See, but like that's the thing. Like it's such a recurring theme in like our stories and our media and our video games. Like it's a prevailing worry, I think, that sits idly in the back of most people's heads because there's no way to know. It's that intrusive thought that you just can't get rid of. Because one of the things that I think people are afraid of the most is their will not being their own. People are manipulated extremely easily. People can say that they're not, but a majority of people are.
Yeah, I can attest to that because when I was young, this is a very personal story, by the way.
Did your father take you into the city to see a marching band?
Oh my god. Do, 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 do. No, when I was young, I watched the Truman Show, and I had it in my head that what if I was a part of something like that? And I lived so many years afraid of doing anything, even when I was in like no one else was around, that someone was watching me. I became hyper self-aware and self-conscious that I would just kind of like deactivated myself. And like that was just a fucking film, dude.
See, my thing is like I actually used to be afraid that I had hackers watching me through my webcam. And eventually it looped back around Nuclear Gandhi style, and every time I busted a nut, I just winked at the webcam.
See, my way of doing that is just I keep my webcam unplugged until I need to use it. They can't see you bust a nut if they can't have power.
I think we've given people enough to like never look into conspiracy theories if you're easily suggestible. That's my warning to you. Never do it.
Yep. If you go into this kind of stuff, be skeptical and be aware that a lot of arguments seem very enticing, but if they don't give proof, look up, do all your own research. Don't just blindly believe stuff. Is like the best thing I can say about this. And that's not just for conspiracy theories, that's for everything. Do your own research. Don't believe what anyone don't blindly believe everything people tell you.
Do your own research, talk to your neighbors, be social about the things you're thinking about because that'll help you get other ideas that you can then look into, etc. So I think that is probably a good note for us to end on today. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's a good note. Is it
so,
A flat?
Now that we've outed ourselves as conspiracy nuts, anything coming down the pipeline for you, Zay?
I have, at this point, I believe I'm going to be working on a new narrative show that I have been working on for the last couple of years that I'm finally starting to put into production. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to actually kick into motion, but I am putting in a lot of groundwork for it right now.
Nice. As for me, my video, like it is in all endings of podcasts, it's in a state of quantum superposition. So it's either out 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, or will be coming out next week or the week after that.
So, at any point,
quantum superposition all of your content to keep people forever excited. That's how quantum mechanics work.
This show has been brought to you in part by our patrons. Make sure to go to patreon.com/podcasttangents. Again, not a singular space, all one word, if you want to help support the show and get those tasty extra bits of content.
And that's it for us. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely rest of your day. And remember, the Kool-Aid's bad to drink unless you mixed it yourself.
Oh, shit. Oh, I need to go throw up real quick.
Have a great rest of your day.